Toby Michael. Ever hear of Temple OS? I don't think so. A biblical-themed lightweight operating system designed to be the third temple prophesied in the Bible. What? Really? Designed by Terry A. Davis, who developed it alone over the course of a decade after a series of manic episodes that he later described as revelation from God. Wow. Fascinating. No, I've never heard of that. Temple OS. It's supposed to be the third temple. Open source 64-bit. Wow, 64-bit. Okay. Operating system created by Terry Davis and designed to be the third temple prophesied by the Bible.
Or 64-bit operating system designed to be the third temple prophesied by the Bible. It was created in 2005 by Terry Davis, an exceptionally talented...
It was created in 2005, or it was started in 2005? Because it took 10 years to create by one guy. It's actually very impressive that the dude made an entire operating system on his own. 10 years is a long time to have a personal project to work on. But imagine what else he could be doing without, this ridiculous nonsense being shoved down his throat when he was younger. Imagine the games that he could have created if he had just sat down and done this work himself on something else rather than Temple OS. That is just sad, man. Jesus, dude.
Talented programmer diagnosed with schizophrenia. He wrote the entire operating system himself at his parents' house in Las Vegas, which...
Yeah, my brother has schizophrenia, and he's a very skilled programmer as well. Very skilled in all kinds of things. But I think it's probably because he focuses in on things deeply. Like, it's not because schizophrenic people are smarter or something. I think it's just that he gets really invested in something.
Which included a bootloader, kernel, window manager, 3D graphics library, and multiple games, all powered...
That's so crazy. A 3D graphics library, too? That is nuts, man. I cannot believe he did that. A bootloader, you'd need a bootloader. Window manager, yeah, you'd probably need one of those too, but that means that it's got user interface as well. It's not just like command line. Did he write a shell programming language for it as well, like PowerShell for Windows or Bash for Linux?
A bootloader, kernel, window manager, 3D graphics library, and multiple games, all powered by his own compiler and custom programming language called Holy C. Amazing.
Holy C. Oh my God, dude. So he wrote his own programming language too. That is actually very impressive. Like, really. That's very, very impressive. None of this stuff is easy to do at all. And it doesn't surprise me that it took him 10 years. It could take a team of 4 people 10 years to do something like this. It must have been very primitive to be something that like a single person could do in 10 years. Quick note before we continue, I'm writing a book about my experiences inside the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses. I cover the culture and doctrine. It's understandable even if you know literally nothing about the religion, so I'd appreciate if you gave it a read. To find out more, go to owenmorgan.com/book. All links are in the description, of course. Okay, back to the video.
Amazingly, it all fits in under 100,000 lines of code at 1.4 megabytes.
100,000 lines of code. Okay, yeah, still impressive. But I was thinking it was like a 2 million lines of code type of deal.
Just as God intended. He believed he was God's chosen programmer and implemented features described as a modern-day way of speaking in tongues. It renders graphics at 640 by 480 resolution.
Dude, did he have... Oh my God, Kenneth Copeland is in this.
As a modern-day way of speaking in tongues. It renders graphics...
Dude, I know that video. I know that one from Kenneth Copeland. He's saying... he's commanding Satan to be crushed under God's heel or something because he's, COVID. It's about COVID. COVID is hurting people and he thinks Satan is doing it or something.
Graphics at 640 by 480 resolution, limited to only 16 colors. The underlying language, Holy C, resembles C or C++, but has functions that can be invoked without parentheses or arguments, and uses just-in-time compilation, which means it doubles as a shell language that can be executed directly from the terminal. Unlike...
That's good. Yeah, totally. So it's interpreted, basically. It's kind of like... Wait, is just-in-time bytecode or interpreted? I don't remember. It sounds like it's kind of like Python or PHP. That's good. Yeah, he would have need to... That's his shell language then, basically. Holy C. Wow. Is his shell language. That's crazy.
Other operating systems like Linux or Windows, it's ring 0 only, which means everything happens directly in the kernel, including user programs. You have complete control over the operating system source code and hardware. That may not seem very safe, but it's the way it is because it's fun. To get started, you'll first want to download the
That's extremely impressive.
ISO file from the TempleOS website. From there, use a tool like VirtualBox configured for a 64-bit operating system that boots this file. On startup, it creates a single immortal task named Atom. It's the father of every other
Single immortal task called Atom. Oh my god.
task, just like in the book of Genesis. It can also take advantage of multiple CPU cores, where each core gets its own immortal Seth task. Once inside, you can take the tour or immediately...
Oh my god, dude. So this is called multi-threading, what's being discussed here in programming. If you guys are unfamiliar, threading is the idea that a CPU can only do one thing at a time, right? Like, you're basically sending electrical signals through... transistors, through little switches, right? So a transistor is a set of 3 wires, and depending on the outcome of a scenario, it will enable one switch rather than the other switch, and it will send it through an electrical path. You can only have one electrical path running at a time, but you can split the amount of time, like there are a certain number of CPU cycles that happen, like a certain number of times that electricity runs through the switches per second. You can like divide those cycles per second. So if you have a primary task, a primary thread, which is called Atom, and you want to run other threads, then it will divide the CPU usage up into a number of different threads. And he calls each of those threads Seth. The main thread is Atom. Multi-threading is Seth. That's ridiculous, dude. Really? That's just sad, man. For real. Quick interjection. This won't take long. If you like what I do, it would be awesome if you guys checked out my Patreon. All links are in the description, of course. Okay, back to the video.
Start speaking in tongues by hitting F7, which generates a pseudo-random word from God. You can also have God draw you a picture with Shift F6 to...
There is no such thing as random. That's why I said pseudo-random. There's no such thing as random within computers. It just does not exist.
A pseudo-random word from God. You can also have God draw you a picture with Shift F6 to perform a God doodle. That was fun, but now use Control M to open up the personal menu. From here, you'll find a huge variety of games, like 3D first-person shooters, 2D strategy games, and simulations like After Egypt, where you play the role of Moses. And
I assume he made all the games, too. That's deeply impressive. And they appear to be like 3D polygonal models that he created.
Also has utilities to manage your finances and make music. Remember, this is all made possible by a custom graphics library. If you're not happy with the way it works, simply open up the source code, make some modifications in Holy C, reboot, and enjoy. Every line of code is right at your fingertips thanks to the Red C file system. The end result is one of the most complex pieces of software ever written by
the Red C file system.
Solo developer. But there's a lot more to this story, and sadly, Terry Davis passed away in 2018 at the age of 48. He was both a highly controversial internet personality and genius programmer. This has been Temple.
Yeah, I agree. He was. That is deeply impressive. My God. And honestly, it's surprising that he fit it all in only 140 lines of code. I could be wrong. I believe Minecraft was only 9,000 lines of code originally. I guess the number of lines are not as important as like the quality or the not the quality of code, but like the efficiency and stuff of the code. That's much more important. That is deeply impressive. I had not heard of that. Thank you for that little trip down crazy lane.
OS in 100.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, this is a public domain. We can probably put this in a virtual box. Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, we could if we wanted. I don't feel like going through all that trouble, but we could totally put it in a virtual box if we wanted. That's actually pretty impressive what he did. Programmed with an original variation of C, named Holy C, in place of BASIC, and included an original flight simulator compiler and kernel. The fact that he wrote his own compiler is impressive in its own right. Holy shit. That's crazy. That is absolutely nuts. This dude understood hardware like nobody else. He understood way more about software and hardware and how they interact than I do, like by a mile and a half.